Did you know there's a stark difference between those who achieve greatness and those who settle for eternal mediocrity? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not money in the bank. The difference lies in a truth that few have the courage to face: your willingness to do exactly what others refuse to do. And today I'm going to reveal the secret that Napoleon Hill kept hidden away, not just about conquering, but about defending your gains against the three invisible enemies that destroy 97% of successful people. Because what you don't know about protecting your gains is literally sabotaging all the progress you make. Answer mentally. Have you ever achieved something important and then watched it slip through your fingers like sand? Have you ever felt you were on the right path, but inexplicably everything started to crumble? This isn't an accident. It's the result of not knowing the defense laws that separate empire builders from serial failures. For decades, Napoleon Hill studied the tycoons who never lost everything: Ford, Edison, Carnegie. These men had a secret that goes beyond building wealth. They mastered the forgotten art of shielding their gains against any storm. What Hill discovered was never published in Think and Grow Rich because it was too powerful. He discovered that there's an abyss between conquering and defending. And mastering this abyss requires knowing three truths that I'm going to expose today. Truths that will transform how you protect every dollar, every achievement, all progress in your life. But before we dive into these truths, I need to be brutally honest with you. If you're watching this video, it's very likely that you've already experienced this frustration. Maybe you've had a moment of success, a period when everything was working, when you felt you were finally on the right track. But then inexplicably things started to crumble. Results stopped coming. Motivation evaporated, and you found yourself back at square one wondering what went wrong. This is the cruel reality that most personal development experts don't want to admit. Most people don't fail at achieving occasional successes. They fail at defending them. And this is exactly what differentiates us from those who live in perpetual mediocrity. Napoleon Hill realized this when he first interviewed Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie wasn't just concerned with how to make money. He was obsessed with never losing it again. And it was this obsession that led him to develop what Hill called the gain defense system, a methodology that few know and even fewer apply. The first fundamental truth is this: your gains are under constant attack, not by external forces, but by internal forces that you don't even realize exist. Hill discovered that every success you achieve automatically creates three invisible enemies: complacency, dispersion, and reverse fear. Let's start with the most common one. Think of your gains as a medieval castle. Complacency is like sending home the guards because the enemy hasn't attacked in weeks. It's biological. It's human. But it's also fatal for maintaining your progress. Dispersion is more subtle. The more success you accumulate, the more opportunities arise and your attention scatters in multiple directions, diluting your strength like a river that splits into 1,000 streams. But reverse fear is the most devastating of all. Reverse fear is the unconscious fear of losing what you've conquered. And here's the cruel paradox: the more you fear losing your gains, the more likely you are to lose them. Why? Because reverse fear paralyzes you precisely when you should be expanding, growing, and consolidating your position. Henry Ford faced this when Ford Motor Company became the market leader. Instead of celebrating, Ford became obsessed with the possibility of losing his position. This obsession led him to make increasingly conservative decisions, eventually allowing General Motors to take the lead. The fear of losing what he had conquered literally caused the loss of what he had conquered. Now, the second fundamental truth that Hill discovered is even more disturbing. Most people confuse maintenance with growth. They believe that once they've achieved something, the task is simply not to lose it. But Hill realized that in life's economy, there are no plateaus. Either you're growing or you're regressing. There's no middle ground. Thomas Edison understood this better than anyone. When he invented the electric light bulb, he didn't settle for manufacturing light bulbs. He immediately started working on the electrical distribution system. When he mastered distribution, he was already working on industrial applications. Edison never defended his achievements through conservation. He defended them through continuous expansion. This is the mentality that separates empire builders from creators of temporary successes. Empire builders understand that the best defense is always a strategic offense. They don't just protect what they have, they continuously expand it to make it impossible to lose. And this brings us to the third fundamental truth, the most counterintuitive of all. Your greatest gains don't come from repeating what worked, but from anticipating what will work next. Hill called this adaptive intelligence and observed that all the great wealth accumulators in history possessed this characteristic. Think about it this way. While most people are playing chess, the real winners are already setting the rules of the next game. Andrew Carnegie didn't become the steel magnate simply by producing more iron. He realized that the future belonged to steel before demand even existed, and positioned his operations to dominate a market that was still emerging. While his competitors were optimizing their iron processes, Carnegie was already building steel furnaces. This anticipation isn't a prophetic gift, it's analytical discipline. It's the ability to observe emerging trends, subtle changes in market behavior, early-stage technological evolution, and position your resources not where value is today, but where value will be tomorrow. But here's what you need to understand, and this is crucial. Knowing these three truths isn't enough. In fact, knowledge without application is more dangerous than ignorance, because it creates the illusion of progress without producing real results. What I'm about to reveal has never been shared like this before. Hill didn't just identify the patterns. He decoded the exact system that the great empire builders used to transform these discoveries into daily psychological armor. It's like owning a treasure map, but never leaving your couch to find the treasure. The map doesn't take you anywhere, only the journey does. And the journey of defending your gains requires more than intellectual understanding. It requires a daily implementation system. During his decades of research, Napoleon Hill didn't limit himself to identifying the patterns of great wealth accumulators. He decoded the specific actions they took daily to maintain and expand their positions. He discovered that all of them followed what he called the shielding protocol, a set of daily practices that protected them against the three invisible enemies I mentioned earlier. This protocol wasn't theoretical, it was practical. It was actionable. It was the difference between those who built lasting legacies and those who had fleeting successes. Imagine you discovered McDonald's secret sauce recipe, but this recipe isn't for making burgers. It's for maintaining the empire you've built. For years, this protocol remained buried in Hill's personal files, known only to a very select circle of his inner circle. But before revealing these specific strategies, I need to warn you about an uncomfortable reality. Most people aren't prepared to apply Napoleon Hill's shielding protocol, not because it's technically difficult. In fact, it's surprisingly simple, but because it requires a fundamental change in how you think about success and progress. You see, most people view success as a destination. Hill saw success as a process of constant navigation. Most people celebrate wins. Hill celebrated sustainable systems. Most people ask, how can I get more? Hill asked, how can I make sure I never have to start over from square one? And this difference in the question produces a radical difference in the answer. Because when you change the question, you automatically change the focus of your actions. Instead of seeking the next gain, you start building the next fortress. But the real question isn't whether you understand these principles. It's whether you're willing to implement the specific daily actions that Napoleon Hill used to defend his own gains. What I'm going to share has never been presented this way before. These are strategies that transform not only the fortunes of industrial magnates, but their fundamental mentalities about growth, risk, and sustainability. Because in the end, the difference between those who build empires and those who achieve temporary successes isn't in the magnitude of their initial gains. It's in the sophistication of their defense systems. And these systems begin with choices you make before you even get out of bed in the morning. Now you want to know exactly how to implement these lessons in practice, right? Because it's one thing to understand the principles, another to transform them into concrete actions that protect your gains every day. This is where most people fail. They have the knowledge, but they don't have the system. And that's exactly what I promised to reveal at the beginning. The system that Napoleon Hill discovered, but never published. The complete protocol that separates legacy builders from temporary success creators. So let me share with you the specific framework I've been using for years. These are 5 daily actions that create psychological armor around your results. These aren't fancy theories. They're battle-tested practices that work in the real world. First action, visualize your gains as already secured. Every morning, before getting out of bed, Spend 5 minutes visualizing success as a present reality. Think of your brain like a home security system. When you visualize your gains as already secured, you're programming the sensors to recognize and protect what already belongs to you. It's not about dreaming of the future. It's about training your brain to recognize and protect what's already yours. When you visualize with clarity, your subconscious automatically works to maintain that reality. Edison did this every day. Ford did this. Tesla did this. They didn't visualize what they wanted. They visualized what they already possessed in their minds. Second action, eliminate one negative influence per week. This could be a person, a habit, a recurring thought, or even a TV show. Negative energy is like a small leak in your roof. It seems minor, but over time it can destroy your whole house. Guard your energy like you guard your bank account. Third action, document 3 wins every day. It doesn't matter if they're small or big. The brain needs concrete evidence to believe that you are a person who wins. When you write down your wins, you're programming your subconscious to seek more wins. It's like training a bloodhound. The more it finds what it's tracking, the better it gets at finding it. Here's the secret most people don't understand. Your progress isn't secured by what you achieve, but by what you document, because what isn't recorded doesn't exist in the mind's reality. Fourth action, practice active gratitude for 10 minutes. It's not just saying thank you for good things. It's physically feeling gratitude for what you already have, for the challenges you've overcome, for the people who are on your journey. Gratitude isn't a passive feeling. It's an active choice that reprograms your brain to see abundance where others see scarcity. And here's the most important part. When you practice gratitude for what you already have, you're showing life that you recognize value. Life responds by sending more opportunities to those who know how to appreciate them. Fifth action, give something valuable to someone every day. It could be advice, a sincere compliment, a favor, a professional tip. The law of reciprocity works automatically. The more value you deliver, the more value returns to you. But here's the key. It's not about giving with the expectation of receiving. It's about giving from a place of abundance. The great visionaries who transformed the world understood this principle. They didn't accumulate wealth for themselves. They created value for others, and wealth came as a natural consequence. Henry Ford didn't get rich selling cars. He got rich solving America's transportation problem. Now here's the brutal truth that separates those who really protect their gains from those who just pretend: implementation. You can know these 5 actions. You can agree with them. You can even share them with other people. But if you don't implement them, they're nothing more than pretty words. That's why I'm issuing you a challenge. The 30-Day Success Protection Challenge. For the next 30 days, you're going to implement these 5 actions daily. No exceptions, no excuses, no I'll start next week. Day 1, morning visualization, elimination of 1 negative influence, documentation of 3 wins, 10 minutes of active gratitude, and delivering value to 1 person. Day 2, the same thing. Day 30, the same thing. Because here's what's going to happen. In the first 7 days, you're going to feel resistance. Your mind will invent 1,000 excuses to quit. That's normal. You're reprogramming neural patterns built over years. It's like remodeling your house while you're still living in it. In the next 7 days, it will get easier. You'll start to see small results. In the final 16 days, it will become automatic. And at the end of 30 days, you'll have built a psychological fortress that protects your success from any external storm. But there's one condition. You need to start today. Not tomorrow, not on Monday, not when life gets calmer. Today. Because every day you postpone is one more day that your gains remain vulnerable. And do you know the difference between someone who accepts this challenge and someone who just thinks about it? The same difference between Edison and the 1,000 inventors who had the same ideas as him, but never acted on them. The difference between Ford and the hundreds of entrepreneurs who dreamed of revolutionizing transportation, but never built a single plant. The difference is action, immediate action, consistent action, action that doesn't wait for perfect motivation or the ideal moment. So tell me, are you going to be just another person who knows the path or someone who actually walks it? Are you going to protect your success with theory or with practice? The choice is yours. It always was. It always will be. But remember, champions aren't born champions. They become champions through small daily actions that quitters aren't willing to do. And today you have the chance to choose which side of that line you want to be on. The 5 actions are in front of you. The protection system is revealed. The moment is now. Now you have what Napoleon Hill kept hidden away, the complete success protection system. The 3 fundamental truths that destroy 97% of successful people. The 5 daily actions that create a psychological fortress around your results. You're leaving here with exactly what I came to deliver. The secret to not just achieve, but defend and multiply everything you build. What actions are you going to implement today to protect and multiply your success? Because at the end of the day, success isn't measured by what you achieved once. It's measured by what you can maintain and multiply over time. And if you've made it this far, if you've absorbed this content to the end, it's because you already recognize the value of what you just received. You already know you have potential for much more than what you're experiencing now. Now you also have the system that will protect every bit of progress you make. So go ahead, implement, act, protect your success, and let the world see what you're truly capable of when you decide to stop playing defensively and start playing to win.